I'm Bo Davidson in the Real America's Voice newsroom. Here are your headlines. While on his overseas trip to Asia, President Trump was still talking about issues back here at home. He's now contemplating sending more than National Guard troops to cities across America. Watch.
If we send in our military, if we send in our National Guard, if we send in Space Command, they don't care who the hell it is, they just want to be safe. And we have safe cities now. We're starting in Memphis. And Memphis was a disaster. It's been there, they've been there for 2 weeks, and it's a whole different story. Crime is less than half, and within a month it'll be gone. Getting rid of all the bad ones. And we're going to go into Chicago. We're going to go into our cities. We're going to clean them out. We're going to straighten them out. And we're going to have safe cities because you want to protect safe cities. We're going to have beautiful, safe cities. And it's happening very quickly and very easily, actually. It's easy for us. It's hard for them.
And while President Trump is wheeling and dealing in Asia, back here in the U.S., investors are expecting the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates today. The anticipated quarter-point cut would mark the second in 6 weeks. While inflation is still higher than where the central bank wants it to be, policymakers are reportedly more concerned about preventing a spike in unemployment. A number of major companies have already announced job cuts in recent days, including Amazon, which is laying off 14,000 people. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is scheduled to speak around 2:30 this afternoon. Stay tuned to Real America's Voice for updates throughout the day. Meanwhile, Bill Gates is calling on major donors to reconsider where they're putting their money. In a new essay, he argues that eliminating disease and hunger should take priority over fighting climate change. Bill Gates says climate change is a serious issue, but he argues it's not the most urgent threat facing the world right now. Gates says efforts to reduce emissions should continue, but donors should place a stronger focus on saving lives immediately, particularly in the poorest regions. He writes that preventing disease and outbreaks and reducing hunger would produce the fastest and most direct improvement to human suffering worldwide. Gates isn't dismissing climate concerns. He says both issues matter, but believes the world can make a bigger impact faster by directing more resources toward basic health and food security. His message comes ahead of a major global climate summit next month. Gates notes that international aid budgets and donor priorities are stretched. Those are your headlines. We now return to Charlie Kirk Show.
Forging an all-new greatest American generation. It's the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. I'm Andrew Colvett, executive producer of this fine show. And I'm joined with Blake Neff and a very special guest, but I'm gonna keep you waiting 1 second. First, I want to tell you about patriotmobile.com/Charlie. Of course, that's the URL for Patriot Mobile. The very fine folks at Patriot Mobile, our dear friends of the show, Glenn and Jenny. Thank you guys for standing by this show and for just being great Americans in general, and for supporting Turning Point USA, other causes, 2A, pro-life, all the things. We love those guys, and we love what they stand for. And not only that, but they give you great cell phone service. They're connected to all the three major networks, so you don't lose anything there. But you know that when you spend $1 on Patriot Mobile, that they're going to put the profits of that back into the missions that you care about most. And so that's why we love them. So don't just take my word for it. Ask the hundreds of thousands of Americans who have made the switch and are now supporting causes they believe in simply by joining Patriot Mobile. Switching is easier than ever. Activate in minutes from the comfort of your own home. You never have to talk to some foreign call center or anything like that. It's American-based customer service. They're going to make it very easy for you to switch, to keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Patriot Mobile, you visit them at patriotmobile.com/Charlie. Use the promo code Charlie for a free month of service, or if you prefer, you can call 972-PATRIOT today. That's 972-PATRIOT today, or go to patriotmobile.com/Charlie, promo code Charlie for a free month of service. Or do what I did, and you can have 2 networks on one phone, so you never are going to be without service, and that is a good thing. That is a very, very good thing. So without further ado, I am so honored to have the one and only Dr. Larry Arnn, president of Hillsdale College, in the studio.
We are.
It's a pleasure, sir, because of so many reasons, but namely because of how much Charlie loved and adored and respected you. Both as in your role at the college, but just as a personal friend of his. And I know that was a bond you both shared, and you loved each other, and you supported each other. And so it's an honor to have you here. The floor is yours. reflect on whatever you want to reflect on.
Well, Charlie is the best student I ever saw who didn't go to Hillsdale College, except he did. He was such a high-minded, generous, powerful, capable young man with amazing self-restraint and self-discipline. I never met a better person. And I did fall in love with him. In the beginning, I thought he was he was a 19-year-old show pony. And I asked him a lot of hard questions, and he didn't know the answer. He's 19. And he just immediately was determined to learn the answer. And so I knew him for the rest of his life, 13 years, and he grew on me to a great friendship. I adored him. I think what he's built here is a wonderful thing. I never really talked about, Charlie. I run a big old business, and Charlie runs a big business, and he built it. I never talked to him about that very much. I came here and went around and talked to the staff one day. At the end of it, I said, Charlie, you really know what you're doing, don't you? So this place is very vibrant, and Erica is heroic, and you guys are practiced and principled and good at your jobs. Turning Point is growing, I understand. I'm not surprised by that, and I'm confident that will continue.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I will say that, and Blake can attest, one of the speeches from the memorial that has been most oft quoted to me or referenced as this moment of the powerful moment that helped encapsulate the memorial at State Farm Stadium was your speech. You had 4 minutes. We all got rushed through there because there was we had a whole program, and it was executed with precision. But your speech, this clip, just listening to it back, is one of the most poignant. I don't know how many words. It's got to be like 25 words, 30 words. And I've had more people tell me about this. And so I'm going to play it here and get your reaction and maybe your reflection, rather, on what you said. Play cut 193.
A good thing is a thing that has being. An assassin is not a thing that has being. The assassin must give up his humanity to destroy something that has being. Charlie lives on. The assassin will die.
It's a powerful moment, Dr. Arnn.
Yeah, well, it's one of the first conversations I had with Charlie. What is a good thing? What is good? What does it mean for a thing to be good? Charlie got into, that's the fundamental question in philosophy, by the way. That's what Socrates is always asking. And Charlie wanted to know the answer to that. And Erica gave, it's probably the best speech at the memorial. A very powerful woman, and sort of deeply aggrieved. She read from his journals. 2, I think, maybe 3, but 2 for sure of the stories were class notes on Aristotle class. She told me my name was at the top of the pages because I know something about Aristotle and got him reading it. And see, I think what you have to do. I mean, this is what Turning Point has to do. You can only save America by making it good again. And young people can only contribute to America if they live well. And to live well is to learn and know and practice the moral and the intellectual virtues. And Charlie was a model of that. He became a very knowledgeable young man, and he had these enormous gifts. He was a very powerful guy, very charming, very fun. To be around Charlie, every time I was around him a lot. Every time I was around him, it was a giggle. And also serious, right? Well, we have to live like that to be a free people. And, so many young people are lost today because they go off to college and they tell them nothing is good or true objectively, which, by the way, is a statement about the truth, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
it's a
right
true
response.
statement.
The right response to that is that true?
No.
And Charlie got into that, and he led millions of young people toward a better path.
Yeah, I just think that whole discussion, what is it to be good? What is it, what are we ultimately aimed at? It's sort of the bigger picture thing. Charlie wrote a book called The College Scam. He routinely said college was a scam, but then we did these ads for Hillsdale. He would have him on. He always spoke well of Hillsdale as the best college in America, and it's because you're probably one of the only college heads in America who could give an answer to that about why a college education would matter, why, what the goal of it should be beyond just, sending a bunch of money to a college bureaucrat or getting some credential. And it's the ability to actually answer that question. Why are you bothering to learn any of these things in the first place? Why does it actually matter that you read these books or understand these things? And that's, I imagine that's why we're going to continue touting Hillsdale going forward, is because there aren't many schools that do that. And our goal still remains to make more schools like that. And that's what Charlie would care about. He didn't just want to burn down higher education because it, caused him a tiff. He wanted it to be something more worthy of the people who attend it.
This is a really good point that you're making, because often Charlie would be accused of being anti-intellectual or anti-education. Charlie was the most pro-education person I have ever met. He was the most pro-intellectual person I have ever met. And he loved being connected to you, Dr. Arnn. He loved being connected to Hillsdale because he believed that you were doing it the right way.
Well, he called me once before he published that book and said, I'm going to publish a book telling kids not to go to college, but I'm exempting Hillsdale. And I said, thank you very much. He was giving me a warning. And I said, thank you very much. And he said, do you think it's right I should publish that book? And I said, yeah. I said, there are some marvelous teachers scattered here and there. If you encounter one of them, college will be a golden experience. But otherwise, it's not institutionalized that it's a golden experience in very many places anymore. So that's what Charlie is saying. And Charlie, Charlie was a student in our online courses, an assiduous student. He took a lot of them, took nearly all of them, I think. And people are always asking me which one. So we're not at the college. We're not using Charlie's name except to praise him, because there's a flurry of that right now. Probably, people have been giving us money for scholarships in honor of Charlie. And if Erica wants me to, I'm going to turn those into scholarships for kids recommended by Turning Point.
Wonderful.
And she probably will. I told her today. But mostly the most important thing, from my point of view, Charlie was a student who succeeded in making himself knowledgeable of the best things to know and living in light of them. And he was an encouragement to especially young men who are lost these days, right? They just flock to him. At Hillsdale College, the night of his assassination, it wasn't organized. Our chapel, which holds 1,500, was full for 5 hours in a prayer vigil. And I brought Erica a big box of letters that Hillsdale students wrote to her. We didn't ask them to do that. They got up a letter writing campaign.
We have I don't know if Erica showed you, but we have a whole basic warehouse.
I looked, yeah.
Filled with these beautiful presents and letters that come in from all over the country, and people have dropped them off. And the outpouring of love and support. I mean, we make much of some of the negativity, some of the really vile behavior that we've seen, because it deserves to be taboo. It deserves to be shamed. But I will never, ever forget how much people have prayed for us, how much people have poured out their love for Charlie through us. And it is, I will tell you, it's truly life-changing. So it's beautiful to hear that. I'm going to tell you guys quickly about one of our partners here on the show, and then we'll continue with the great Dr. Larry Arnn. We're honored to be partnering with Alan Jackson Ministries, and today I want to tell you about their podcast. It's called Culture and Christianity, the Alan Jackson Podcast. And here's what makes it unique. There's a lot of problems in the world. We all know about the problems in the world, and we can talk about those in an honest way, and that's what this podcast does. But they also take the Bible and they give you prescriptive advice on how to be a part of changing it for the better. So whether it's gender confusion, abortion, immigration, Doge, Trump and the White House, issues in the church, you don't just discuss the problems, you talk about how you can make a difference. His guests have expertise, powerful testimony, and each episode will help you recognize the power of your faith. The Culture and Christianity podcast is informative and encouraging, and you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, or find out more about Alan Jackson at alanjackson.com/Charlie. alanjackson.com/Charlie. We'll be right back.